This is the last video about quads that you will ever need to watch. We will work our way through every single piece of information that you need to know to get big quads. There are two types of exercises that you need to do to get the best results. You need a lower body compound exercise and an isolation exercise. So let's take a look at lower body compound exercises first. The exercises that belong into this category are, for example, the squat, the front squat, leg press or the hack squat, and many others. Basically any quad exercise that classifies as a lower body compound. I would highly recommend going with some kind of squat variation though, as it is just one of the best tools for getting big quads. Don't get me wrong, you can still build massive quads without ever doing a single squat in your life, but if you can squat, then don't be lazy and squat, alright? And by the way, always go for the high bar squat instead of the low bar squat, because the low bar squat puts more emphasis on your glutes and hamstrings, and that's not what you want when you are trying to grow your quads. The high bar squat will put your torso in a more upright position, which will emphasize your quads. That's why the high bar squat is superior to the low bar squat when it comes to building your quads. Now let's take a look at the isolation exercises. The funny thing is that basically the only good isolation exercise for the quads is the leg extension. So the choice is pretty simple here. The exercise is just absolutely amazing, so if you can do it, you definitely need to take advantage of it. Alright, now that you know which exercises you should use, let's go over how many workouts and how many sets you should do per week, and also what kind of rep range you should use. The number of workouts that I would recommend for the quads is 1 all the way to 3 workouts per week. But for most people I would recommend 2 workouts per week. And if you are struggling with the size of your quads, you can go up to 3 workouts per week. But if you are like me and you have above average quad genetics, then you can get away with just 1 workout per week. But that only applies if you have already spent some time in the gym and your quads are already well built. The reason why you would wanna do this is that if your quad genetics are way too good, then your quads will become disproportionate to the rest of your physique. And worst of all, you will not be able to fit into any pants. Trust me, it sucks. But if your legs look like noodles, you need to train them at least 2 times per week. There is no going around that. You have to put the work in. When it comes to the number of sets per week, I would recommend something between 12 to 18 sets per week. This number is very accurate. I will tell you more about it a little bit later. Now let's take a look at the rep ranges. We will split the exercises into a main exercise and an isolation exercise. For the main exercise, you will choose a lower body compound exercise of your choice. The main exercise will always be done as the first quad exercise of the workout, which means that your power will still be at its peak. That's why the rep range on the main exercise can be as low as 5 reps all the way to 15 reps. I wouldn't recommend going above 15 reps on the main exercise. If you have ever did like 3 sets of 20 reps on a squat with some challenging weight, you know that your quads were not the limiting factor. Cardio was the limiting factor. That's why it's better to stay in the low rep ranges when you are doing any of the lower body compound exercises. When it comes to the isolation exercise, it's most likely going to be the leg extensions. For the leg extensions, pretty much any rep range will work, as long as you are not going below 8 reps. So for example 8 to 12 or 15 to 20. Everything is fine as long as you stay between 8 and 30. You just need to make sure that your form on the leg extensions is good and that you focus on the top contraction. Pausing on top of the rep for like a half a second to a second on each rep will make you wanna call 911 because it will be absolutely fire. This is how the example quad focused part of your workout could look like. And if your workout is constructed in a way that you do 2 main exercises and 1 isolation exercise, then you can set it up like this. I think that some of you might be confused about this, so let me explain. Remember when I told you to use 12 to 18 sets per week for your quads? Awesome. This number basically gives you 2 options. You can either do 3 sets of the main exercise and 3 sets of the isolation exercise, and you do that twice a week. That would be 12 sets per week in total. Then there is the second option, where you either do 2 different main exercises for 3 sets each, or you can just stick with the 1 main exercise and do it for like 5 to 6 sets, and then you add 3 sets of the isolation exercise on top of that. If you did this 2 times per week, that would equal to 18 sets per week. So these are the options that you can choose from. And after you do that, listen up, because there is still one very important thing you need to know about training quads. When you are squatting, you need to make sure that you are going below parallel, otherwise you are just wasting your time. And if you are not sure if you are going below parallel, the next time you do squats, record the sets and take a look at what's happening. And if there is an issue, then start working on fixing it immediately. Remember, you are not in a powerlifting competition. There is no reason to just barely hit the parallel and immediately bounce back. Go deep. And when I say deep, I mean deep. You can basically go ass to the grass. And that comes with multitude of benefits. Most importantly, you will get more activation in the quads and also in the glutes. You will also reduce the risk of injuring yourself, because when you do deep squats, you naturally have to use less weight, which means that you are more in control of the weight. In my opinion, this approach is way better than if you just try to brute force it and chase a weight that you are not really capable of controlling. When you get older, you will thank me, because all of that will catch up to you later. That's why it's better to squat deep. Not only it will be friendlier on your knees, but it will also build more muscle. I know that I'm talking like I'm 50 years old, but this is just a fact. No one wants to hear this, but everyone needs to know this. If you are not able to do a proper deep squat, then it should be on the top of your to-do list to be able to do so. My best recommendation to achieve a deep squat would be to practice squatting while holding onto a sturdy object, and slowly practice that until you are able to go basically ass to the grass. If you would like to see a full video on how to achieve a deep squat, then let me know in the comments below. What we are trying to achieve by squatting ass to the grass is basically to get more out of less weight. This is a huge part of bodybuilding. Another thing that you can do to get more out of less weight than just squatting deep is to elevate your heels. You can do that by putting a small plate under your heels, or you can get a pair of weightlifting shoes and they will automatically elevate your heels a little bit. There are two reasons why you would want to do something like this. The first reason is that if you have really bad ankle mobility, then this simple trick will help you to actually do a deep squat. And the other reason is that it will emphasize your quads much more than if you didn't have your heels elevated. This can be an absolute game changer for you if you can't really feel your quads when training them, or if your quads are just not responding to the training at all. Because your heels are elevated, your whole body is in a more upright position, which is exactly what you want when you are trying to grow your quads. The quads will have no choice but to grow. Well, that's all you need to know about training quads. And if you want to learn more about bodybuilding, check out my website where I have tons of free resources prepared for you that will simplify your bodybuilding journey. So what are you waiting for? It's just that simple. And as always, a big thanks to all the supporters on my Patreon. Did you like this video? Then you will for sure like this one too.